So next is the finishing of concrete. That is the last operation of the concrete. The concrete is a rough material and its color and surface is not good. Hence finishing must be done for the concrete surfaces. As we know, the concrete surface is not looking good because it is having the rough materials like the aggregate or etc. Or due to the rough formwork, it will not good as in color and surface. So hence it required the finishing. So purpose of finishing is to keep the concrete surface smooth. So like plastering, we have to maintain the concrete surface smooth. Second is to provide the correct slope. So in case of the work like concrete coba, to drain the water, we require to maintain the perfect slope. So we require the finishing to provide the aesthetic appearance to the concrete surface. So to maintain the good appearance or the good look to the concrete surface and as a whole the building, we require the finishing of concrete. So it is the purpose why we require the finishing of concrete. There are methods, that is the surface treatments. So it consists of leveling the fresh concrete to required level and giving the required slope to the concrete. This method is useful for the slab and roads. Surface treatment is a method in which the horizontal surfaces like a slab or the roads are leveled to a required slope so that the water, rainwater or drain or any water should be drained easily and there should not be causes any leakages to the concrete surface. So it is about the surface treatment and it is required or it is given to the concrete surfaces like a slab and roads. It includes following operation. First one is screeding. A screed is a heavy beam having the handles on both sides. A screed is lifted and dropped, pressed and moved in longitudinal and transverse direction to attain the required level and slope. So first is we go through the method of screeding. So trading is nothing but heavy beam having the handles on both sides and it is lifted, dropped, pressed and moved longitudinally and transversely direction to attain the required level and the slope. So as we see in the images, it is the screed or screed board is the wooden section and it is used to level the surface. Same section but it is having the single handle and it is joined or constructed with the mortar, sorry, constructed with the steel beam and connected to the handles and the electric motor is provided so that it can be compact and it will be level the surface. So it is known as the screeding. The small wooden section which will be used for leveling the surface. But in modern technique, the screeding is done by this screeding equipment. Next is floating. After screeding is done, a rich cement paste is taken and spread on the surface with a wooden float to give the required level of the surface. The cement paste is used to fill the small depression left after the screeding. So after screeding, we require the floating and floating is done with the small wooden float and during the floating if there is a small depression then they will be filled by using the cement paste. So floating is like this, the small section, small equipment as we seen in the hand of the this this muslin, then in both hand it is having the float. So it is having the small handle to carry this, and bottom is the surface is a rectangular surface, and the bottom is a very plain surface. So after floating is done, that is the wooden float is here, floating is done, sorry, screening is done, we require the floating. So by this float they can complete the process of floating. So after screening, there is any small leveling is required or small deflections are remain, then they are repaired or leveled through this floating. Next is polishing. It is the final operation of finishing when the concrete surface is set after spreading and floating. Then it is polished with the steel trowel, which gives uniform polished surface. So it is nothing but the trowel which is used at the final stage after spreading and floating. If after spreading and floating also, if there is any depressions or remains, or we require the polished surface like which is known as the sunlas. So in that kind of the work, we require the polishing work, and this type of the work is done by the steel trowels to give the uniform polished surface. Next is exposed aggregate finish. When the aggregate is exposed on the surface of the concrete, then it gives the good appearance to the concrete. It can be done by washing the exposed face of the concrete with the water, or by using retarder on the surface of formwork so that cement paste does not set in that area and then cement paste is washed out. So exposed aggregate finishing is mainly useful for the good appearance of the buildings or structural element, and it can be done by, first one is washing the exposed face of the concrete with the water, or by using the retarder. So it is like this, in which the after concreting we can after concreting is done, then after some time we can remove the formwork and we can spray the water on the surface so that the cement paste on the surface will remove out and only the aggregate finishes appear on the surfaces. Or the next method is in which the formwork on the inside surface of the formwork we provide the chemical that is retarded, so that after casting the surface concrete will not set easily, or it required a greater time. And when we remove the formwork, then only surface that is about near about the diffraction like 5 to 6 what we required in that type, the surface will remain unset or the in liquid state. So and internal part is gets setted. So the retarder which is provided on the surface of the formwork, it will increase the setting time of the concrete surface, and this surface is washed through the water, then all the cement paste get removed and it will appear like this, that is the aggregate will appear on the surface of the concrete. So it is the exposed aggregate finish. The next is applied finish. Applied finish is given to the untreated concrete surface and it is known as the coba. So at the top of the surface like a slab, to avoid the leakages, we provide the concrete coba or the grit coba. So it is very useful for waterproofing work, and the grit coba is commonly useful for the waterproofing the slabs or the bathrooms or the utilities where it is where the units building units which are in contact with the water continuously. Then for waterproofing we can use the concrete coba or the grit coba. Colored finish. The following materials are used for the colored finish: pigment admixture, chemical and paint, white cement and colored cement, colored concrete. So colored finish is the one type in which we can use the colored concrete or colored cement, so that the surface will be in a color which will be selected to achieve the desired appearance or to increase the look of the buildings. We add the pigment into the cement, or in market they are available, the colored cement are available. So using that particular colored cement or the colored concrete, we can give the finish to the concrete surfaces. So like this, the color concrete is also prepared. So the surface will be look in a different color. And also the colored cement can be used. The colored paints, pigments are used to change the color of the cement. So this is about the colored finish of the concrete surfaces. So it is about the finishing of the concrete. So it is end of the various operation of the concrete. The 2 points are remaining, that is the waterproofing and the joints in the concrete. So they will be covered in a next lecture. So thank you very much joining with us.